Hello everybody, my name is Melanie Brits and I am a soul journey coach. Normally I read people's Akashic records and help them with their soul journeys, past lives, energy blocks, etc. But for Third Eye Champagne I sometimes do remote viewing videos where I tune in remotely into an energy of a place or specifically places, and we see what we get. So there are a few videos like that on Third Eye Champagne already. And on one of the videos, somebody commented that they wanted me to do and take a look at Oak Island. Now, this is an island somewhere off the coast of the USA. I think, I'm not exactly 100% sure which side it is, but anyway, it's close. And there's this mystery about this island. So there's even a TV series, and that is how I learned about it. And I've been an avid viewer of The Curse of Oak Island for many years, almost right up to the last season. I don't think I've seen that. But so I've been immersed in the Oak Island mystery for as long as it's been on TV. And one of my favorite things is when I find somebody else that's also immersed in this mystery and also watches it. So it's almost like finding a little kindred spirit when somebody else tells me that they are also into The Curse of Oak Island. So it was very aligned for this viewer to suggest Oak Island, because I've always wondered about that, but I've never really thought about going in energetically and seeing what I can find, which I probably maybe should have done. Anyway, so last week I was chatting with Kirsten and I told her I would do Oak Island when I have a moment. And so it's sort of been on my mind that when I have a moment I need to go and look and see what I can find at Oak Island. Now, normally my process for tuning into this is using the GPS coordinates, then anchoring my energy, transferring energy there, and then feeling and seeing what else, what comes, what information I get, what visions comes. I sort of work a lot in terms of pictures that I see, etc. And so I thought this was going to be just a normal, process. So this morning, I woke at around 3 o'clock in the morning, witching hour, and so I sometimes do wake up at night, and I then often do a little bit of meditation or visioning work, etc. So I use the time because I find that my brain is nice and relaxed. It's almost, if you're thinking of the brainwave activities, my brain is in quite a receptive mode at that time, having just woken up, and it's still very slow and sort of open. I think it's in gamma. Anyway, but anyway, my brain waves it's conducive for me to do meditation work, specifically visioning work, etc., when I sort of wake up that time and then can't really go back to sleep immediately. So I decided to do a bit of pineal gland activation, which is something that I am working with at the moment, and your pineal gland is almost sort of the interface, I believe, for a lot of the connection work, etc., that we do, communing work in terms of how we affect reality, how we get information from this sort of invisible force field that surrounds us. So I often sort of do work on my pineal gland, and so today I started. Before I started, I actually was thinking about my week and sort of the stuff that I had to do on my to-do list. And one of the things that sort of loomed large on that to-do list for this week was this channeling or energetic remote viewing of Oak Island. And so I was activating my pineal gland and getting into a nice meditative state. It didn't take much because I was already, in quite a quiet meditative state anyway, because of just having been woken up. And suddenly Oak Island stuff starts downloading. And So I'm not going to do a live remote viewing for you. I'm going to tell you the download that I received. And look, it's pretty crazy. It's even crazier than I actually thought it might be. So much so that this afternoon I was thinking to myself, am I really going to make this video and explain to you the information that I received? Because I am just going to sound like the cookiest cuckoo bird that ever cooked. It blew my mind. When the first sort of thing hit me, my eyes in the dark sort of just widened, and I was like, what? Are you serious? And then I started getting more information, and in the end I was like, this is so flipping weird, but you know what? It actually makes a lot of sense. So hopefully you can resonate with it. I believe that our souls, when we hear truth being spoken, we sort of resonate with it. So hopefully that is what is happening for you. If you think I am a crazy lady making stuff up, that's your prerogative. That's also 100% fine with me. And I also had a think about sort of what if the bad people that I believe might actually use this information that I'm going to give you in terms of what is happening with Oak Island, what if this information is being misused in some way? And then my guides were like, no, it's fine. So I'm going to tell you, hopefully those people are not watching this channel, and you'll have a leg up on them in terms of understanding what is actually happening. Okay, so background. Oak Island is this island. It's quite a specific shape, I think. That's a distinctive shape that I think is important. And there's an area on the island where lots of people have been digging. It's called the Money Pit. And then there's other features of the land that's also important that I'll reference in terms of the information that came through. And these guys, the Levinas, I believe their surname is, have been digging there and investigating with all sort of modern sciencey techniques this legend of the fact that there's this treasure that's on Oak Island. And there's lots of speculation in terms of what this treasure might be, and all different people coming out with theories in terms of what it might be and new information, and then they find little scraps of stuff that makes no sense whatsoever. And one of the two of the frustrating things for me watching the program is when they find something, and then when they go and sort of get the big stuff together in terms of really going to investigate it, then they find nothing. So it's almost, I don't know, it's like the stuff moves or disappears, or it's very weird what is happening there. And the other thing is, it sort of almost seems to me like towards the end of the season, the stuff keeps ramping up, and then just as they're sort of getting close to some breakthrough or something, then it's winter and they have to sort of stop their digging or their investigations or searching. And as a viewer, that is incredibly frustrating because, you feel if they can just keep going, we might actually be getting anywhere or somewhere. So that is sort of just has been some of my frustrations with watching The Curse of Oak Island. And I don't think there's really a curse. It doesn't feel like there's a curse as such. I think there's just television. And I used to think that the end of the season pattern of the things ramping up towards the end of the season was just sort of basic reality television stuff. In order, you're building up to sort of some sort of crescendo where if you find the stuff at the beginning of the season, then, you're sort of giving away the stuff. Anyway, I don't think that's all that is happening there, because the information that was shown to me this morning at 3 a.m. is that the people that hid the treasure, there is a treasure, and the people that hid it did various things to obscure it from being found, unless you have the exact combination of moves. And so there's a specific way in which the puzzle box needs to be unlocked in order to access the treasure. So there's a physical thing. I don't know exactly what it is. I can't see, but there's a specific thing that you need to do in order not to trigger the booby traps and the stuff. So there's a specific sequence of stuff that you need to do and go in from a specific point and so on. But what they also showed me that really blew my mind, and that you are probably going to turn off the video right now when I tell you this, is they also moved this treasure in time. They added something like a time lock. And so what is happening there is there's almost a timeline shift. So in order to explain that, I don't know if you know, in Lost, the TV program, the island was moving in time so it couldn't be found. In this case, it's not moving like the island in Lost was, where the island is not there anymore, but somehow the treasure is being moved. And so what is happening is it's almost like there's a timeline shift, a deliberate, intentional timeline shift on the island. That means that there's almost, it's like, if we're talking about time is not real. There's like parallel universes. And the treasure is actually situated in a parallel universe. It's not in our timeline. And what happens is they showed me there's a specific alignment of the stars in some way that aligns with Nolan's cross. You know, the boulders that's sort of situated on the island that makes the cross. There's a specific alignment of some sort of a sky feature that is actually indicative of the time when this thing is sort of unlocked. So if you want to find the treasure, you have to do the right thing and to look in the right place in the right way, but you also have to look at the right time, because if you're looking at the wrong time, it's like the stuff moves, it's not there. And so you're in almost like an adjacent parallel universe looking for the stuff, but it's actually in this one. And so my immediate question to my guides was like, how the hell did they do this? Because it's the first thing that I actually didn't even think something like that was possible. And they used some sort of ancient knowledge that I think got lost or is hidden, so that we don't have access to it right now. But also I think there was an artifact that's like a powerful thing that they used in terms of actually making this happen. And then I asked who was it, and they showed me the Templars. And I can almost see them standing in a circle with these torches and stuff. And they are setting, I don't know, they're doing some sort of ritual to set the intention of actually displacing the island or the treasure in some way, almost letting it drift away from the timeline that the rest of the world is in. I don't know, they've displaced it somehow and put it sort of 2 parallel universes over. And so the weirdest thing is that the island or the treasure actually drifts in time through adjacent parallel universes, and then so it's almost like it boomerangs. It moves out away from this point, and then it moves back in time. And when it gets here, that is when you can actually get the treasure. But when it's moved, you actually can dig in that same spot and you won't find the treasure. And so they can't show me whether the treasure will actually be found, although if they looked at the right time, then they might. But it's not that likely because of this almost double time lock. The other thing that they showed me is that the money pit is a decoy. There's nothing there. It's almost like a red herring in a way to distract the attention away from where the actual treasure is. So the money pit, it doesn't matter the fact that it's sort of been dug up by everybody and his dog for hundreds of years. It's almost like it's just there to sort of almost trap people in this maze of confusion. What is happening with and so it's a deliberate thing. It's like a two-part defense of this treasure. In terms of what the treasure is, I can't see it. It's almost because it feels like it's maybe because I'm not in the same timeline as the treasure is currently. And so I can't see the treasure. It's almost like it's, you know how you get a TV and the reception is blurry. It's got the snow. It's like that. I can't see what the treasure is, but it feels like there's three parts to it. There's knowledge. There's like books or stuff that has some of this esoteric knowledge that they used to do this is included there. There's wealth stuff, so like gold or crowns or whatever. And the aim of that was almost as a way to establish themselves again in the world. I don't know, there was some sort of a threat against them, and they wanted to be able to start again to buy, influence or land or do their projects. And so it's almost like they saved some of their wealth in order to be able to start again. Like the spies in the movies sometimes have this cache of guns and money and stuff that they can go to in case there's trouble. It's like that. And then there's this artifact, this very powerful artifact that is actually that they used in order to actually create this time shift thing, which is very weird. The other stuff that they showed me that sort of surrounds this is, I think the guys that were in the circle that were actually doing the time shift, they almost crumpled to dust or turned into skeletons in our timeline, but they moved with the treasure and sort of lived out their life in a parallel. I don't know, there was something happened to the guys that was actually within this temporal anomaly that they created with this island. I realize how crazy this sounds. Believe me, I know. And I can't believe that I am making this video. It is so much weirder than I actually thought it was going to be. Anyway, what else did they show me? Part of what they did when they created this anomaly is there's almost like a resonance that happened that almost linked the island to the treasure. And so, I don't know, there's an energetic linking that happened to this treasure and the island. And part of what happened was that afterwards, there were some people like pirates or people that wanted to bury their own treasures, and they subtly picked up on the energetics of this and went and hid some of their own like pirate booty, treasure chests, etc. on the island itself. But then the funny thing is, because the island keeps moving through time, is if those guys didn't come back when the island was exactly in the same place in the time stream as it was when they buried the thing, then the treasure wasn't there when they got back to try and find it. And so there was a few instances like that they actually showed me. And they didn't know that it was because of this temporal anomaly. They thought it was just somebody had come and found the treasure and it was stolen or looted. Remember the slave, like Samuel Ball, I think was the name. It was this black slave that came to the island penniless, and then eventually he had a lot of money and land and all the things. He actually found treasure there, but it wasn't the original treasure, the big treasure, the hidden, the treasure that was hidden in time intentionally. He found some of the other treasure that was hidden in time unintentionally, and he used that to sort of further him. And I believe that there was other treasure that was found, also some of the unintentionally hidden treasure that went into the government in some way. But the main treasure is still there. It's just you can't find it unless this time aligns with the specific time that's indicated by the cross, and somehow, I don't know if it's a consolation. And so after this, I remembered that there was an episode somewhere on the Curse of Oak Island where they actually said that this guy came forward and he overlaid sort of a star map. I think it was the constellation of Taurus or something, and then said to them they must dig here. That theory feels aligned to this whole thing. I don't think his map is correctly placed or on the exactly the same thing, but the idea of there's a, the stars need to be aligned in a specific way, or the constellations need to be aligned in a specific way and overlaid in terms of showing the way. That is correct. That is there's one of the keys to the treasure. Last thing that I think I've covered everything that they showed me. But there's been lots of people on the island, like governments, or soldiers from the British and the Spanish and everybody, because of this almost like temporal anomaly that got created. The island sends out a subtle, I don't know, vibration that intuitive people can pick up on. And that is part of this fascination that we also feel with what is happening there. I don't know, it's like our soul or our energy fields can recognize that there's something mysterious or off happening there. And that is sort of pulling us in terms of trying to understand what is happening. We feel the wrongness of it in some way. So that is why the mystery has lived for so long. Okay. The last thing that I asked, because I can't see the treasure, I can't see the treasure, so they didn't show me. However, I have some suspicions. This is not information that I received. It's more like now my own sort of almost deductions of this. Years ago, I tried to tune into the energy of the Ark of the Covenant. And what I was shown is that it's somewhere within, it's underground. It's in like almost a cave, or a chamber underground in some way. And the other thing that I was shown is that the Ark itself is almost like a very powerful artifact that can manipulate reality in some way. So it's almost dangerous in the wrong hands or with the wrong intentions. I don't know. There's obviously safeguards in place, I think. But it's like a energetic artifact, and it's somewhere underground. That was what I was shown years ago when I tried to figure out sort of what was happening with that. I can't see where this chamber is. The location of it is hidden and obscured, almost in the same way that the treasure is being obscured sort of from my view. And so my suspicion is that the Templars might have gotten hold or removed the Ark from where it was in danger in some way, and they actually hid it there, but they used the power of the ark to actually create this anomaly. Now, this part that I've just told you about the ark and everything, that is not information that I was given sort of through this download. That is my own reasoning and suspicions and deductions based on sort of what I know about it. So that's my theory. It's not necessarily correct. What they definitely showed me is that they somehow messed with the timeline or something of the island. They hid it in space, but they also hid it in time. So there's a discrepancy there, and there's an anomaly in terms of the timeline there, and it's deliberate, it's intentional, and part of why it's there is because it is actually part of the defenses or the hiding. So it's like the lock. There's the time lock as well as sort of physical stuff that's happening there. And so when I started thinking about all of this information, it actually almost started making sense to me why they were the things started ramping up towards the end of the season, because I feel that the time when this thing unlocks, the time lock unlocks, is in that stormy sort of winter season when nobody's really there. And that is also, I believe, deliberate. So that's the key. The time when nobody's there is the time when it actually can be found. But because of nature and it's so unhospitable, it almost becomes the third guardian in a way, because it's not nice for for humans to be there and to be working in those conditions. And so it's almost like there's a third layer of protection, and that is nature. And so I think that the constellation stuff, the star map that guy put over the island and Taurus, was also linked to the period in December, January. And if so, then I think that is aligned with this sort of realization as well. So hopefully that is as interesting to you as it was to me. And maybe it will also make you go, oh, but that actually makes sense. And I never really thought about it like that. But as I said, I had this download of information just coming through at 3 a.m. this morning, after I started activating my pineal gland and sort of thinking about this intention that I had to remote view Oak Island and figure out what's happening there. And so this was the information I got. Do with it what you want. But it's obviously, I think, interesting. And it's a theory that I haven't heard sort of voiced about this whole mystery that is there. But yes, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it, and whether you think it's credible. That was what I was shown, and it blew my mind. So anyway, lots of love to you.